We often think about evolution as a one-way street. So if we're talking about these organisms that were around 500 million years ago, 250 million years ago, 100 million years ago, and occasionally a student will say, wait, alligators have been around for how many millions of years? And they've looked pretty much the same. Imagine this dot as a population of a certain species, okay? We have this tendency, we need to get away from it. You don't fall into the trap of thinking that evolution is unidirectional. It only goes in one direction, where a population will develop new features, new characteristics, new traits as they evolve. But in fact, they could also lose certain characteristics, certain traits. There's an example I like teaching when I taught biology, right, of cavefish that over the millennia, right, they had sight, they moved into this area, they lost sight, and they could regain it too, okay? It's not a one-way street. Have you guys ever heard the term environmental stressor before? No. So it's a really fancy word for things that you encounter in your day-to-day life. So a population of whatever species is going to encounter certain environmental stressors. Does that make sense, Dean? Okay. So if the individuals within that group that have an advantage when dealing with those stressors, if they survive and the others don't, the population will move in that direction. They'll be more likely to have those characteristics that allow them to survive. They're more suited for their environment. So it can go in any direction. Evolution can go in any direction. But that also means if they're staying put, if a population stays in the same environment, or if the environment doesn't change, if there's no new environmental stressors, no evolution might happen. That's possible too. No changes is possible. That's a possibility. Does that make sense?
They're already the best. They can't change anymore.
Say again?
They're already like the best. They can't change anymore.
They can if they need to, right? Like if a new environmental stressor came about, then there would be a push. There would be a I don't want to get too like Lemaire. He thinks like giraffes decided they needed to have a longer neck, so they just decided to have longer necks, right? It doesn't work that way, Ferris. But yeah, if they've already reached, they're successful, they can reproduce, then they're good, right? Now, if their environment changes, then they might have to change to match, right? To deal with it. But yeah, evolution doesn't have to go in one direction or the other or whatever. It just depends on the environmental stressors that the organisms or the species is encountered with.